gentlemen.
Live from the van down by the river.
Starring Mike
Murray.
This
Is
SNL.
SNL
by the numbers.
numbers.
Hey, Grandpa Taylor. One sketch after another. One shy of 1K. There's the opening haiku for you. I am your host, Mike Murray, and this is SNL By The Numbers, the home of SNL stats. Tonight we are covering episode 999 of Saturday Night Live with host Teyana Taylor and musical guest Geese. This podcast is a presentation of latenighter.com. Back with me, Rebecca North. I know you have prepared haikus in the past.
Of course I have a
All
haiku.
right, let's off the rip. Let's have back-to-back haikus. Go for it.
Hi, Mike Murray fans. Happy to be on this ep of By the Numbers.
Love it. Thanks for including me. I think that's the first time I've ever been mentioned in a haiku,
Yeah.
so appreciate it. What's going on with you? It's so great to see you this season. How have you been enjoying it? What's going on over there?
I've been loving it. Very happy to be recounting the numbers of probably, I think 999 is a little more iconic than 1,000, honestly. It just like sounds crazier. So I'm really happy to be talking about this episode. And I know we have a lot of good conversations to talk about.
Love the optimism. Back with me as well. It's so good to see you through the screen. We should hang out again. It's TJ. Welcome back to the show, man.
Mike, I'm very, very glad to be here. Can I try a haiku? Let's see if I have this. What's up, y'all people? I have not had time to prep. And that's it. Nothing.
I'll allow it. All right.
Oh, wait, that was it.
That worked. That worked. That was good.
I think that first line might have been 6, but I don't know.
I chose, no, I didn't do what is up. I did what's up, like WASSUP. So what's up, y'all people. Yeah, it's syllables, right? Yeah, haiku syllables.
Yep.
Hey, that works. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go to the tape. We'll figure it out. All right, TJ. So you're back on By the Numbers, and you get to have, the vantage point that we always like to hear. So tell people how your Saturday was.
Yeah, my Saturday was definitely like very eventful. So I went on a long run on a limb trying to go to the show, get in standby because my mom was in town. And I was like, okay, maybe I can like make it work so like we can both go to the show. Luckily for standby, I don't know if this like people knew this, because of the huge winter storm that they were going to have here, they cut the time that you have to wait in the standby line from 5 hours to 1 minute. So if you showed up knowing that you were you're gonna be putting yourself in a risk to make it to the like if you're gonna go to the show on Saturday night, the storm is supposed to be, I think late Sunday night, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. So there's a risk you could like run into the storm. I think they thought this, so they're like, all right, we might have trouble getting people in. So I was like, wait a minute, I can't make my mom wait 5 hours. Like I kind of talked to her, saw she was up to the challenge. She was not. But then that holy news that I got a good number and there was 1 minute you had to wait and you just had to, that's it. I was like, when will, like, I might start believing in God again. Like, when will the chances ever happen? So thankfully we were able to get in. And I was able to take my mother to Saturday Night Live. My 62-year-old Black mom got to see SNL and she had not seen it in decades. So I felt like son of the year getting a chance to see it through her eyes. And I thought Teyana Taylor would be a fun host. We are glad we saw the dress rehearsal version of the show versus the live version. I don't know why that ESPN sketch aired. That should have been like cut for time. Like it's not a bad sketch, but it's not a necessary sketch when you look at like Mom's camera roll or the
I liked
instant,
it.
Like,
we're gonna get into the cut sketches tonight, big time, and I think we have to. And that, first of all, that story was adorable, and it just really made me feel a little guilty and horrible for about to just trash this episode because
I know. I feel like a worst daughter
it,
ever. But at least I didn't go on a podcast and share my mom's age with everyone. So at least I have that tally.
One
back.
demerit right there.
Why would my mom be ashamed? She's proud. 62 and thriving.
Good.
Numbers.
Sounds like a problem with your guys' mothers. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, yeah, so let's get into it. We're going to look at the screen time, of course, top of the show. I just kind of wanted to get Rebecca's take on the night, and then, maybe TJ can really shine a light on maybe things worked better in the room, because I thought this episode was rough. And I will be honest, because I have since the first time I held this microphone on this podcast, that I love SNL. It's my favorite show. I love it when it's great. I love it when it's good. I love it when it's bad. So that's, I think, an important thing. It's like watching your favorite sports team. I never miss it. And when it's bad, I love it. And when it's great, I love it even more. So Rebecca, this isn't the hot take show, but it might turn into one. So let's open with you.
I was so excited about Teyana Taylor. I've been knowing her since my Super
Teyana.
16. Teyana, and I've known about her since my Sweet 16, and I was just like really, really hype. And I thought she did an amazing job. Like, I think in everything she was in, she was so, so strong. And the standout, which you don't usually see as the host, but everything else was so weird and just like did not really hit. Like, there were moments in about every single sketch that I was like, that was a good moment. Why did that end so shortly? Or like, I was talking about like the grandpa at the wedding. I thought her dancing was hysterical. I thought it was such a good job, but it didn't go anywhere. And that was kind of the same vibe for a lot of the sketches, where they all just pretty much just like paced straight forward and didn't really have highs and lows to them, which I don't usually think is great. I was shocked Geese was a musical guest already. It's pretty crazy. And like, good for them. I know I've been hearing a lot about Geese living in the city and everything like that, and a lot of Brooklyn fans of Geese. And it was just like, if you have a musical guest that you're not exactly as certain of, and you don't have that like stand behind it, then you have to have a ton of like faith in the host. And I think they did that because she really shone in every single sketch. It's just that like everything else was lacking. It was more of a writing problem than a performance problem for me.
TJ, what did you think about Teyana live in concert there? We saw her once before with Kanye. She's obviously an incredible dancer. Loved her in one battle. And I thought, like, oh, this is a perfect booking, perfect time. And I thought she didn't bring the episode down, but it was like really tough material to elevate. I'm glad Rebecca brought up the dancing sketch because she got to show some chops there. But like, did things work better when you're in the room? Because it's kind of hard to really not like an episode when you're there, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
It is very difficult. Like because I do wonder if I would have just seen this air, would I have enjoyed it as much? I can't give an unbiased opinion. I'm there in the room. I like Ellis and I were like, I could like see him in the room too. And the fun thing is, not just my mom and I are big laughers. Okay. So we're there to have a good time. Like I'm not an obedient audience member, but like if you make me laugh, I'm gonna like have like a fun time. But there was a dude in front of me who was like howling just as much as like I was. So to be honest, I felt the energy of the room. Even though Geese sucked to catastrophic levels, there was this girl behind us who screamed multiple times during their performance, like to the point where like the pages had to come over and tell her to quiet down. That like she was so excited. Matter of fact, a lot of the standby line fans, from what I could tell, were fans of Geese and were there specifically to see them.
Huge fan base.
Yeah, I don't.
They were
there's
honking.
No reason why
they were honking.
So like it was so bad, it was catastrophic. In the room, like it was dead energy. Like you could feel like, okay, this is only for fans, rather than like I can see this way. Like when they had Ray on it kind of like broadened her reach of people that are like gonna be a fan. Like it felt like I was watching somebody who had like been performing in the garage in their second year. Like it did not light up the room. It stopped the momentum heavily. But for dress, I think there was just like excitement of people being in the room. So I'll be honest, it was really hard to tell. From what I could see though, Teyana was really doing her best. And I think I enjoyed seeing her energy, especially in the room during dress. I don't know if that translated as well to her doing things when she knew she was live in the second time. That is the only thing I can think. Like, here's the thing, she's an incredible performer. And I don't know if it translated as well, because there was a couple of times where like in a dress sketch, she like coughed a couple of times, but it's fine because it's dress. You can like mess up a little bit. But like I don't know if the energy, like I didn't watch the monologue that they recorded. I watched the monologue during dress. That was fine, but it wasn't like the strongest monologue. The cold open was like 13 minutes long and it really didn't work. You could tell from the beginning the show wasn't having a good momentum start. But then when they got into the sketches and they let Teyana just kind of have fun, put on wigs and be silly, that's where I think some of the energy came. but Geese kind of stopped it. Update, I don't think was as strong, even though the correspondents I think were very strong. So it was, if I was stepping back, not in the room, I could see the unevenness that people are talking about. I suppose, and maybe that's harder. Maybe that's even more glaring to you if you're inside, if it's like 11:30 at night and you're at home.
Well, after those cold open cuts, it's still clocked in at 7 minutes 1 second, which isn't crazy long. This season's been 6 minutes exactly on average through the first 10 weeks of the show. This one was 7:01. But I really, it's been a theory I've had on By the Numbers forever. Like the cold open length really sets a tone. It could be a great cold open or it could be a horrible one. But when it feels like it's dragging and you're still waiting for the monologue, it sets the show off, I think, on the wrong foot. And so that's obviously no fault of Teyana's because she hadn't even appeared yet. But also, you know, it's tough to criticize hosts that I just really like outside the show. But sketch comedy also isn't for everyone. She's an incredible dancer. She just got nominated for an Oscar. She's a singer. She can do everything. And so, like, sketch comedy just might not be her thing, and that's okay. And I'd still see her again.
No, I will not allow that slander. No.
I don't think she was the
No,
problem.
I will not allow that at all. That is not true.
I don't think she was the problem at all.
Yeah.
I think it was like the writing and everyone else, honestly.
Well, let's look at the stats because I think this is important. Because
I mean, if she wasn't funny and charismatic, she was a funny, charismatic performer. The woman can do it all. She was perfectly fine, like in the sketches, having a good time.
Oh, she was definitely having a good time and definitely brought the energy. And the sketch selection, of course, matters too, which is obviously host dependent a lot. Sometimes it's just timely, topical, that sort of thing. But here's where I'm going to actually exonerate whether you thought she was a bad or good host, because screen time here, episode 11 of season 51, 15 minutes, 28 seconds. So this is the shortest host screen time we've seen since the Gene Smart premiere of season 50, which was real low. And we know why. Gene Smart was sick that week, and it was the first episode. They had a super long cold open because it was an election year. At season 50, we had Andy Samberg, we had Maya Rudolph, we had Jim Gaffigan doing the whole election cold open, which was crazy long. And then, you know, it just was a low host night. So 15 minutes, 28 seconds for Teyana.
Maybe she was sick. TJ said she was coughing.
That's true.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
Maybe.
I remember, like,
and everyone in New York has the flu.
You know, it's funny. Near the end of Dress, during the Ashley sketch, the oh god, the one that's really good, like the really good one, where they
memorable.
Like, the one where they're like roasting this woman. Damn it, Rebecca. The one where they're roasting Ashley about her job. In that sketch, which, by the way, fun fact, that was near the end of the night. They moved that up, as they should. Like, that was one of the strongest sketches, like, of the night. That I was surprised that to see it move so far. But she coughed a couple of times near the end of the performance. I hope it isn't that she got sick in between Dress and Live. I hope that wouldn't happen. You know. Oh man, actually, these are not bad theories.
Well, how are you feeling, TJ? Because you were in that room. So do you feel anything in the throat, or just, you know, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling solid. I'm feeling good. I will say I'm very surprised by her screen time, but as I'm thinking about it more, you know what? Like, this was definitely more ensemble. Like with Update, with Geese, like even in like Dress, like even though she had like good parts, I think she almost had that split you've mentioned, Mike, where it's like 1/3 of a host SNL appearances is them kind of prominent, and even in a somewhat prominence, she was partnered with Keenan. Like, so when she did the singing sketch, when she did I guess the grandpa sketch a little bit, that's kind of her main, like her on camera, like focusing. But even in like camera roll, the Walking Club, she's playing like a supporting character. It almost felt like it was weighted more in supporting roles. I don't know if it shows up in your power rankings.
Oh, it definitely does, because it's unusual to see that many B-rolls for a host. Of course, had a monologue, which was pretty short, so that's kind of sets her off for a low stat night. 3:15 she logged in the monologue, and then her biggest appearance was the Gate Agents with Keenan, 3:17. So just a little bit longer than the monologue there, and then a really quick, you know, for promoting her Oscar-nominated movie, for which she herself is nominated for. 13 seconds in the toy commercial for the action figures. It was real short.
Really?
Yeah, 1:02 as Lisa Salters, you know, really supporting role to Dismukes and Jadge. as Joe Buck and Aikman there. And then a minute 45, just one of the classmates in the confidence class with Ashley Padilla. Of course, 9 seconds of musical intros. 2:42, which is really her stand-up moment as the grandpa at the wedding. We got to really see what she could do, so I really enjoyed that one. It was like the most predictable joke of all time, but I was ready for it, and I liked it because even the cut to the breakdancing guy was great. And then a minute 4 in Backstab Island, that's the one when I was like, Teyana, this isn't a sketch for you, but it was like really ensemble, lots of quick cuts to multiple cast members. That's a minute 4. She did get the most in that, but it was like really an ensemble piece. And then 201 in that PBS sketch, which I really, really did not like. And then Martin Hurley film, she didn't appear at all. So that ends up being 15:28. Let's run through the rest of the cast here. James Austin Johnson, second episode in a row, leading the cast, 9 minutes 39. Of course, a lot of time in that cold open as Trump, of course, but he got a lot of time everywhere. So it wasn't really a cold open dependent number for Judge, but 939 and 5 appearances. So a big night for him. It was in his top 10 most screen time episodes of his career. Kenan Thompson, second in the cast, 4 appearances, 919. So I think Kenan was really called upon to guide Teyana through all those sketches. And Gate Agents, I thought their chemistry was good, especially the line. I think I'll just say this because this is a rare negative Mike Murray tonight. So I want to give credit where it's due. Teyana coming up to Dismukes and saying "baby, come back to bed" was the best moment of the night.
It was the highlight of the whole episode.
Okay, thank you. All right, I love that.
It was
the highlight of the episode for me.
Good.
Of the whole episode. What's funny? Oh yeah,
that's how low the bar is for this week.
Wow.
So Geese, musical guest, they broke the streak. We had 3 in a row of musical guests appearing in sketches. I did not expect to see, a flock of geese show up anywhere on the episode.
Honestly, even if they did, I wouldn't have realized. Like they might have, for all I know, just in the background of one of them. But
yeah, they could have been guests at the wedding, I suppose. All right, after them is Colin Jost with a big night. He had both guests. 701 for Colin Jost. Ashley Padilla, 6 appearances. So she's really just breaking all the records, or putting her name in the books in the list somewhere, because it's their 10th episode in a row that she's had 3 or more appearances, and she's chasing Heidi Gardner's 17 for a featured player for having that many episodes in a row with 3 appearances. So after Ashley Padilla is Mikey Day, 6 minutes 8. Ashley had 6:55. Dismukes back to above 4 minutes after that 9-episode streak was broken last week. 5:37 and 4 appearances for Dismukes. Marcelo Hernandez leading the cast for update appearances, other than the hosts, obviously, Jost and Che. He had 5:21 and 5 appearances. This is actually for the first time he's strung back-to-back episodes with 5 appearances in both. He's had 69 episodes. That's never happened. So Marcelo is having a little bit of a comeback in the second half of 51 with 5:21 this week. Jeremy Culhane made his update debut, so that's a big headline. 4 minutes, 55 seconds and 3 appearances. Chloe Feynman, 5 for her, 4:39. Michael Che, 1 appearance on update, 3 minutes, 18 seconds. Cam Patterson, 2:52. Not in a lot, but he did play the groom in that wedding sketch. That was the bulk of it. 2:52 total, 3 appearances. Sarah Sherman, where has she been? We're going to talk about that later. 2 minutes, 50 seconds, 3 appearances. Martin Hurley, non-cast member, led the last piece of the night, the 10-1 pre-tape, 2:45. Veronica, 1:19 and 2 appearances. Tommy Brennan, 1:03 and 2 appearances. He's on a really cold streak right now, but at least got over a minute. Mike Myers in the cold open as Elon Musk for the 4th time. He did appear in the season finale of last year, hosted by ScarJo, and as himself in that Kanye West elevator sketch, 58 seconds this week. Steve Higgins, 46 seconds of voice work, 2 times. Jane Wickline, 44 seconds at the bottom of the cast, only beaten by Ben Marshall at 3 seconds, and Tiana's kids, 4 seconds in the monologue. TJ, over to you. Who do you want to talk about?
Damn, not the kids beating out the cast member. That's crazy, son. That is by 1 second. Like,
by 1 second.
God.
And also, Tiana's 2 daughters had the same amount of lines as Ben Marshall in the night. So rough week for him.
You know what's really funny too is they used different kids at dress. And so what's funny is like when they showed the kids at dress, I was like, man, those kids are really light skinned for Teyana. But I'm like, hey, like maybe she has, I don't know much about like who she had the kids with. So when I did see
winner of Dancing with the Stars,
huh?
He won Dancing with the Stars. Like he's so important.
Dancing with the Stars is sorry. Let me
Have you ever seen the
be nice.
Fade music video?
No.
Okay, because Tiana's like the star of that video dancing, and her husband at the time was in it.
Oh, okay. Oh, shout out to
He's
her.
an NBA player.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. No, but they used like, it was very clearly her kids during live. Like I was like, those are very clearly her babies. I just thought there was like a funny little detail that they had fake kids during dress. I just thought it was a funny detail. So it's of the 4 seconds video of Ben Marshall, I think is very funny. Cam, you know what's interesting is like Cam, yes, he's been like near the bottom for a lot of things, and it's funny because I got to go to dress also for the Glenn Powell episode, and I see some of the stuff that's Cam is in a little bit more that is getting cut. It's not like crazy like amount of time, but it would give him more time, and it's like they're trying to put him in the show. It's like especially in Mom's Camera, which is part like it's very small in that. But I think that was like a really strong piece overall. Side thought. I think the show is better if you take out NFL and you put in Mom's Camera and then you move Martin Herlihy to the second run of sketches, which is where they had him in dress. Like he was the second pre-tape. I think you have this show like in a much better spot, and you also put in the incident. I think it's in a much better place.
Right,
but like
that's literally one of the 5 questions. So we're gonna remake this.
Okay,
whole
yeah,
show
yeah,
and
sorry.
make it better later.
But why does it feel like the only one that surprises me the most is Dismukes? I feel like we haven't had a proper like Dismukes, something weird Jumanji type of thing, like the beep beep in a while. Yet I see him having like not a terrible amount of screen time, but I don't feel like I see him. Like I've been thinking about it. Like, well, this is what it is. I'm surprised every time I see Dismukes in the credits. Like I love Dismukes. He's becoming one of my favorites. But I feel like I don't hear his voice in these past like few run of episodes, and I think I just missed that. So I'm surprised that he's still getting time, but I don't feel like I'm really like seeing his perspective.
Well, he is 6th in the cast in screen time, so he's doing very well. Definitely, he's on pace for about tying his best season right now in screen time, and I think he's going to exceed it for sure. I agree with you though, completely, TJ. I think maybe the Miles Teller like police press conference about the comic book. Gargoyle was probably the last like really strong Dismukes taste we got for one of his sketches. So I definitely want to see more of that. And that's been happening with Sarah Sherman too, which I've been covering like every single week on this podcast is, not getting enough squirm. Rebecca, who do you want to talk about from this cast list?
Just looking here, I think this was a strong night for Keenan. I think a lot of the episodes that are like super ensemble, we start to see him fade into the background a little more and kind of give others their time to really shine. And I love a Keenan heavy episode. I mean, we feel comfortable with a Keenan heavy episode because we know he's always going to be good and be strong. So it was good to see him up there really high on the list. Looking at this now, I mean, Ben Marshall, that's crazy. I am still not over that. Like, that's really wild.
Dude, it's so funny.
Like, crazy. And then I'm looking at Sarah Sherman, and maybe it's because I know we're going to talk about the cut for time, like, parts, but she was very prevalent in those sketches. So in my mind, I thought she had a much higher screen time than she actually did here. And then one more is just Jeremy Culhane. I think tonight was his strongest episode. I mean, this or the Pinwheel, but I thought this one was kind of more his episode for me. So I feel it was good.
Yeah, Jeremy actually had more screen time, only by 15 seconds, last week with Finn Wolfhard, and he had 6 minutes 8 in that Glenn Powell episode that TJ mentioned. That was his highest, and he, of course, had his like breakout full like leading sketch with Melissa McCarthy and the free samples, which is like the first sketch after the monologue, which is like I feel like his breakout moment for real, rather than the 10-0 with Nikki Glazer, which I think was generally more popular in the community. But he only had the, he was in the cold open as JD Vance. He did his update debut, and he also was in that Herlihy pre-tape as the Southern Dad. So it was 3 appearances. He did win the SNN MVP, though. So shout out to Culhane.
Sorry, I love
that
Herlihy from this thing, man. That was a favorite. Sorry, I'm just giggling because of that.
Yeah, it was. Y'all take 85. Yeah, so
out here faster than a jackrabbit. That's literally how you sound. Like like the coldness of that moment, like incredible. Like big smile on my face.
Well, thank God for Martin Herlihy, that making the show, because I think I just got so turned off by that PBS sketch, doing a format that they've done so brilliantly in the past, and then I feel like just such a swing and a miss on that one, and then seeing Martin Herlihy with like a chin implant, I was like, you know what, it's gonna be all right. It's okay.
Also, again, I want to point out that was near like the middle, like, but that was the pre-Geese, like in the night. So it tremendously helped the momentum and helped like carry through, at least for me, like the Geese part. And then like the PBS was also at a point where it kind of like helped go. I think it was structured better in dress than like with the exception of the cold open. I think it was just structured better in dress. So like the momentum, I didn't notice this as much as like people who watched it like on TV.
I also like when Martin has his own sketches because I love his voice so much. Like it just is so soothing. I think everything he says is funnier with like his like little lisp and his like cute little voice. And doing something like this where you're trying to behave and then obviously you're not, like I think he does a good job being solo from PDD more so than Ben has done. And it's just interesting the way that he's not on the main cast. And maybe it's for the best because when we see him, we get excited and we know it's going to be good. So there's food for thought.
Small moment too that I doing the stats. This like always got me. It's so subtle, but if you go back and watch Martin's pre-tape, him entering the door and tripping over like the threshold was such like a subtle comedy moment that I love, that was completely unnecessary but elevated that sketch just 5% right there. Just as him entering the room was funny, so I love that. TJ.
I think we are in a beautiful place with Martin that I think we were in with PDD, which is like we love them because we get just enough of them. They're edited. It's not like in our face all the time. And I think like it's fun to appreciate that journey. I think I just want to like I don't know if the audience would feel this way, but I think we need to make the decision about whether or not do we want Martin to be in the cast or do we want him to stick strictly in this role, which I think he does exceptionally well, like being part of the film team, like kind of like creating these additional pieces.
Did you read the questions, TJ? Because you're spoiling all of the questions.
Oh no,
That's okay. You know, it's just we'll let it flow. But let's move on because we're talking about Dismukes and talking about Sarah and just how SNL has had to adapt to losing its biggest star of season 50 in Bowen Yang. So I wanted to take a look, small sample size, 2 episodes. We'll have one more before the Olympic break. But this is just how the cast screen time movement has happened through the Finn Wolfhard and Teyana episodes so far. So on the screen, I have everyone's total screen time. So if you want those totals, tune in to the YouTube and see the totals. But also just their average from episode, 1 through 9, through, from Bad Bunny to Ariana, how they've averaged, and now through these last 2, because there's been some significant changes. So I did the percentage change and how much their average has changed. You can see the improvements are in green and the other way around in red. So I did sort them. Oh, I guess I did it alphabetically, so you can look at it that way. But Jeremy Culhane at the top here, 82.6% increase. Of course, an update debut helps that. Already brought his average way up from 246 at 503. So Jeremy Culhane's making a strong start to 2026. James Austin Johnson is in second place. He was averaging 527 in 2025. Again, this is just season 51. He's up to 901. So this has been a strong Judge year so far, just through 2 episodes. And then let's look at the other end. Tommy Brennan just dropping off the map from the end of 2025 into this new year, down 73.5%. Good luck with that. But there's always time. So we've lost an average of 2 minutes, 12 seconds of Tommy Brennan per week. He was having a strong start for a rookie. From episode like 2 to 7 or 8 was doing great. And then from like maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, it's been a huge drop off. And then Dismukes and Sarah Sherman. So Sarah Sherman's down almost 70%. We were seeing 6.5 minutes. My other draft pick. Oh, there you go. So Sarah Sherman's 6 minutes, 22 seconds averaging a week is like, okay, she's a standout, is clearly a veteran, season 47 cast member. Her and Jad still going strong. We were seeing tons of Sarah. We were saying all the women are kind of dominating because there's fewer women, so they're in everything else. But now down to a minute 56, that's like crazy. So TJ, I want you to weigh in on Sarah Sherman just being on a milk carton, as was said on the roundtable.
That's insane. And just so I make sure I'm understanding the data correctly, when we're saying 2025 average for season 51, are we looking at those first, what was it, like 7 to 9 episodes of
9 episodes,
2025,
yep.
comparing them to only 2 episodes we've had this year?
Yeah, because I want to see where the
That's
Bowen
really
Yang
stupid,
vacuum.
I feel like I feel like that's too close to. I don't know if that's like fair to make comparisons. Like, yes, you can look at the change, but those averages are going to be based on 2 very different like population. Like, I don't know if it's like fair to judge the
Definitely. I mean,
change of
and
like
I want to
Big Line and
see
Cam.
I want to see where it will go after Skarsgård next week,
Mhm.
but it's such a significant thing when a Cecily Strong or a Bowen Yang leaves, and how does SNL prepare and try to power through the next few episodes, especially with rookie hosts like Finn Wolfhard, Teyana Taylor, and Skarsgård this week, to see who's gonna really eat up the time that Bowen Yang mentioned on Las Culturistas, that at a certain point he almost had like a Bowen segment on the corkboard, just like whatever Bowen wants to do. So that means there's a big vacuum for someone to swoop in and take screen time. Is it going to be a vet like Keenan, or is it going to be a rookie? Like, that's what I wanted to look at. So again, I let off the segment, small sample size, but it's been dramatic so far. So I want to look at it. What do
No,
you think, TJ?
I really appreciate you you making that clarification, because that narrative you're giving makes this data make a lot more sense in terms of its importance. I did forget about the Bowen factor and how much that would change things. I would be more interested in this, kind of curious, like what does it look like after Skarsgård? But it is just hard to look at like somebody like Cam's change or like Jane's change. You know, seeing Cam at like a 43% like changeover, but really that means he's been on for 50 more seconds. Does that mean that the time Bowen had, maybe the 5 to 8 minutes that Bowen would have had, is split up among the like 8 cast members? So like Cam gets like 50 seconds, Jane is going to get 7 seconds. Like, does it just get more sparsed out? And then while it doesn't necessarily, well, it mentally creates a vacuum, does it not necessarily mean that like the vacuum like needs to be filled because that's a space that other cast members can make up? Like, Bowen has a specific voice, and I don't know if you can find a place to replace it just yet. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see like where will that energy go. But also shout out to Jeremy. I need to say this about Jeremy. I'm having a really tough time with this year. This has probably been one of my toughest years, like watching the show, because if I'm looking at it as an aggregate, I'm not enjoying it at the same heights that I normally enjoy the show. But I'm a laugher. I try to come in with a positive energy, except towards Geese. Like, I try to like enjoy the show, and like I still am having fun watching it. But Jeremy is probably my favorite rookie because I appreciate his silliness, his physicality. I'm a big sucker for people from the Dropout background because I think they kind of they have good people drop out, like just like even like good people at their heart. So Jeremy, I'm rooting for him to like have like a continued rise, but hopefully like one that like shows. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in him because he just makes me laugh. Also, he's just goofy. He's a silly bro. Oh my, him in that fedora. I know we'll get to it later on, but like I was like he just also, you know what he has? He has like a funny face. And I don't mean like he's funny looking. No, I do not mean like, I mean he has like and almost like a Jim Carrey where he can make his face work for comedy so well, just with like a look. At least that's what he's doing for me. I'm just like, I'm ready. It's like you look at somebody and you're like, I'm ready for you to make me laugh. Like, I feel like it's in his, here's this. I feel like funny is in his DNA. That's what it is. And like it's in him biologically, whereas other people practice it, learn it, craft it, go to school for it. There's something about Jeremy, man. I don't know. Like, I would have loved this kid in elementary school.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of Bobby Moynihan comps from the podcasters, and just having that. And I know what you mean. I didn't take it the wrong way about the funny face thing. Like, Bobby Moynihan had a funny face. Like,
yes,
he made me want to laugh. So I
he
completely
is
agree.
What Tim Robinson should have been on the show.
Ooh,
but it's just
Rebecca.
Very funny that we're replacing Bowen with Jeremy. Just like
no, we are not doing that. We could never.
But like if it's kind of going to him more so than anyone. And it's just very funny, like on paper, that we're now Bowen leaves and then we see a rise of Jeremy to fill the void as if they're even remotely similar people. It's just definitely funny in that regard. But I don't know. I do think this is interesting data. I think in 5 more episodes, this will be actually interesting data to like really be able to see before and after.
You wasted your fucking time, Mike. You wasted your time putting it all together.
It's just, this is like, I mean, Mike, you're a stats person. You know, this would never be to make like finalize a decision here. We would never be like, this is the official like rankings, but it's interesting to look at. But it is 2 episodes.
We'll get to those.
So the red is very, very misleading for some of these.
Well,
Also,
I wanted
wait,
to
can I
look
add
at
to
the.
Rebecca?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rebecca, you said something that I thought like was just interesting about like Jeremy is replacing Bowen strictly from like I think a quantity perspective.
Yeah.
What's even funnier about that is, didn't Bobby leave around the same time that Bowen came on into the cast? So if you look at it, it even makes more sense. Like it doesn't make sense, but like it makes more sense because Bobby, I don't know like if they had a layover in cast time. But I know that they left and like came on around within like a year or so, I think, of each other.
Bobby left in 2017.
Yeah,
So,
because of that Rick and Morty joke.
Yep, and then Bowen came in as a writer in 44, and then as cast in 45. So he started in 2019. So like, 2.5 years after Bobby left.
Bowen
Okay, not
is the Bobby of our generation, and I've always said that.
People are starting to say it. People are murmuring. I really wanted to bring this up. TJ's on the show and maybe had one of the biggest turnarounds, biggest kind of mea culpas on this podcast. If you're a longtime SNN listener and you know TJ well, that your Judge turnaround of when you first reacted to him, I'm digging deep in the SNN vault right now.
Jesus
and then you
Christ.
became a big fan of his, right? So
I did not even know this.
It's not like having SNN should not have lore given the format of our podcast, but if we did,
there's lore.
The one of my lore would be that I like railed hard against James Austin Johnson. And you know what's really funny? I have similar
You railed
thoughts.
James Austin Johnson?
Shut up. I have similar thoughts and feelings about Tommy Brennan, but I'm intentionally recognizing my stupid fucking mistake of misjudging JAJ too early, and I'm holding the weight to see what Tommy Brennan could do at least for the next like year and a half before I said really like mean things, and he impressed me, and I had the wrong impression, and I was wrong, and I have like no problem admitting that. But what the fuck? Where the fuck are you going with this, Mike? Where's this going?
We're gonna roll the clip right now. This is TJ back.
Wait, what? Wait.
I was like, I really hope
you better fucking not. Like,
you don't have like a soundboard for each of us because mine would be crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I have all the Rebecca haikus. They're in the they're in the
I know nobody would ever want to waste the time editing. As somebody who's edited myself, nobody would ever fucking want to take the time to do that like beyond a year out of footage.
I mean, I was up till 3:38 a.m. doing these stats. So if you think
you're always up, you have a child.
If you think that there's not enough bandwidth for the SNN, then you are sorely mistaken. Anyway, Tim Robinson never got an update, sadly, and Jeremy now has in his 11th episode, which is pretty cool. But speaking of James Austin Johnson, I did a whole segment last week, if you want to go back and check that one out, of breaking down his non-Trump or Biden time he's done to kind of illustrate his improvement in other aspects of the show. Because when you see James Austin Johnson's stats on this show, it's really easy to point, well, of course, he's got good numbers. He's in every cold open, and you would be right. But he's been improving in his appearances elsewhere. And I think that he would be the guy who has a veteran presence, who can do impressions and who can do sketch work and do a lot of different roles. He's nothing like the comedic styles of Bowen Yang, but there is a void to fill. And with the boy band sketch with Finn Wolfhard, and then, he played a drunk pilot and then a maybe tipsy doctor in the wedding. I don't know. And he's been getting these kind of roles that, I could see Bowen doing that. Like, it's not a Bowen style, but like something like that. And his improvement has been 3.5 minutes over the last 2 episodes. So again, I get it. Small sample size. I'm going to keep monitoring it, but it's something to look at. And I just want more Sarah back. So we're going to move on from that. and look at these questions. Go ahead, DJ.
I have a question. What are we holding back from looking at JJ with a Phil Hartman future lens? Are we waiting on something? Like, I feel like he's on that road. He's on that track.
Definitely.
Utility wise and capability wise, like he has some more time, but I feel like where are we with that? It's like a full SNL audience.
Well, I've seen that in the comments, and people have made that distinction before about those type of cast members. And let's just get into it, and let the chat sound off as well. Is what will his legacy be if you eliminate the Trump impression? Because it's such a big part of the current landscape that he is, for better or worse, putting the neck on, putting the wig on, and doing this like almost every week. He's on the precipice of breaking a record right now. So it's looking at that. It's that Alec Baldwin played Trump in 17 episodes out of 21 in season 42. Judge has played Trump in 10 episodes out of 11 so far. And, Daryl Hammond played Bill Clinton in 14 episodes of season 23. So he is, if let's look at it. If he has 9 more episodes and he's Trump in all of those, that'll be 19 out of 20 episodes. And I feel like it's possible. So let's eliminate that. That was the goal of last week's segment, to kind of separate and parse that data. But what will his legacy be? Could it be that authority figure, the dad's dad appearances that he does? Or is it kind of being a glue guy? Because I feel like the glue guys get remembered by the SNL fans, maybe not the casuals, but people love to talk about Dan Aykroyd. They love to talk about Phil Hartman, Bill Hader, Sudeikis. I know those 2 names are more recent, so we've followed their projects. Or even like a Kevin Nealon, people like that can do guy in sketch perfectly. They almost never break, and they can just like show up and deliver and like hit doubles down the middle. And I feel like that's my take on it. But Rebecca, what do you think about James Austin Johnson? Maybe predict how long he could stay in this cast and what his legacy would be.
I feel like, and I hope that when Trump is no longer as prevalent to be discussed, so unfortunately, so many more years to go.
Speaking of disgust,
if he is still in the cast, I'd be really curious to see like how his role would shift. I honestly think he might be one of those that like whoever the next person to impersonate would be, like he would do a great impression of them too. Or would he just be like a utility cast member? I'm really curious to see like how that would play out down the line. And I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait long enough to see it, where we don't have to have the same cold open. And even when I was on the round table a few weeks ago, and I was making the point to be like, our bar is so low. It was the cold open where they were on the plane. And I was like, our bar is so low that everyone was like, I love this cold open, because it was like Trump not speaking to a press room. And I was like, the bar is so low, it wasn't funny. And then I was like, but I would love to see more of that. This week proves, honestly, at that point, just put him right back in a press room. Like, I don't need to see any more creative takes of Trump speaking to a camera. At least just like, put the checklist down and make sure he says all the words again. Like, at least that was like kind of entertaining, and I could just glaze over it.
For sure. And I think he has a comedic voice. Sometimes impressionists like Chloe or Melissa really get siloed into, there's someone who does impressions. So we wheel them out when we do an impression parade, and they do great at it. So they stand out, but they don't get to really show their voice. Like Chloe Fineman's having the best season by far of her career. I know that Heidi Nego are gone, and so she's now the veteran lady of the cast. So that makes sense. But do we know what a Chloe Fineman sketch is? I think we know what a James Austin Johnson sketch is now, and he's done it with Dismukes, doing musical things. That's not impression based. So
playing a dad.
Any final thought on your guy Judge?
Sorry, the Chloe thing. It was just making me think of something. But like regarding like, do I know what a Chloe Fineman sketch is? I feel like that's like a whole conversation in of itself. But as for JJ, I think we can't not. Sorry, I don't think we cannot count the Trump of it all, because Didn't Phil Hartman also, if we're comparing, didn't Phil Hartman also have a few presidential oh God, I can't remember the name of the president. Was it Gerald something? In
It,
Clinton. I
it
think Phil
wasn't
Hartman was
Gerald Ford. No,
no. What am I thinking? He was. I know he was
thinking
Clinton
of Bill
because
Clinton.
there's he was Bill Clinton in the McDonald's sketch, but I don't know if he played Bill Clinton multiple times. But I know that he played a president, and I think
He
I'm
had
only bet.
tons of cold open appearances, and he would do the Johnny Carson sketch with Dana Carvey sometimes in the cold open and be Ed McMahon, and he would of course do impressions. But Phil Hartman like has the record for the most appearances per episode average in SNL history because he did voiceovers, he did supporting roles, and he would do those like lead off sketches and lead sketches and had characters like Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer and things like that are like
I do love
burned into SNL lore. But let's move on to 5 questions because this is what we want to talk about tonight. It's not every episode is going to be great. You can find good and bad and everything, but this episode is unique because I'm curious, and maybe we can discuss in the chat too about they released 3 cut pieces this week, which is a lot. Sometimes we go weeks and weeks, we get no cut pieces on YouTube. They released 3 like back to back. If you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend because I thought all 3 of them would have made the episode better. Maybe in a certain order. We're going to talk about that. But it was The Incident, which is a Sarah Squirm, prosthetic body kind of sketch where she is playing the child of James Austin Johnson and Teyana Taylor. And I thought that was, if you included that, that would have been Tiana's best performance. And I would have probably said, oh, she can do sketch comedy because I thought she was great in it. That was when it's the next morning and they're talking about the sexual experience they had the night before. And Sarah Sherman's playing the kid who walked in on it and has crazy eyes. And then it, of course, escalates from there with everybody having these crazy, stunned, eyes on. Mom's Camera Roll, which is another musical sketch with Tommy and Ben about
And Veronica.
Shout
out to Cousin Planet.
I love Cousin Planet. It's my favorite.
I fucking hate how much it's probably my top song of January. Do you know how infuriating that is to me? I have not stopped listening to the studio cut like of that song.
Okay, I want to see that
great.
Spotify Wrapped or whatever you have.
I swear to God. Oh my goodness. It's a great track though. But yeah, Veronica is the vocals. And
where do cousins go?
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that one. And then there was a walk club. It was like a, they're walking in a neighborhood where they're all wearing increasingly insane weighted vests as like these like cul-de-sac moms. Ben Marshall also shows up in that one as the dad. And it's a good sketch for the women, and I thought it was kind of on brand for this season. I did like it. So this is what we want to do. We're going to look at the rundown of this episode, and I want Rebecca and TJ to tell me what you would cut, what you would put in now that we have this data, and kind of just basically like in the chat, do you watch these cut sketches? Do you want to see more of them? Is there such a thing as too much? Do you like when they save it and air it later? Kind of becomes SNL canon because it's now aired, where these ones are kind of like lost media at a certain point. If you don't see them when they air, when they come on YouTube, you might never see them ever, and they're kind of just lost to SNL history.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the 3, I thought the weighted vest one was actually very funny and topical, but I was saying to Mike before this that like it reminded me so much of the Kristen Wiig Ladies Who Lunch sketch where they had the teeny tiny hats and they're like, look how cute sketch. My hat is. And then they like went under the microscope and did way too much. Like we've already had the premise and they did it so well that like I honestly didn't need that one in this. I thought it was good. All 3 of these could have been every week. The Martin sketch, although it was one of my favorites of the episode, could have been aired at any episode also. So I think when you have something really good, like The Incident, I thought was really great. I thought Teyana was amazing in it too. I thought it was a classic Sarah Squirm sketch, which I've been saying that I've missed a bunch this season. Like we can go ahead and replace the PBS sketch for sure. And I mean, just looking here, I feel like the NFL was topical for the season. I thought it was funny because I've been following it, but like Backstab Island, my problem with it, I am a huge Survivor fan. I watch all of those shows. one, they've done spoofs of this before. They actually were supposed to have a Survivor bit in the cold open a couple episodes ago, and that got cut. But I thought it wasn't funny. There was nothing about it that was funny. Like, it was Survivor X Temptation Island ish that like didn't make a ton of sense. There was one funny joke at the end that like, if you know, you know, and they kind of roasted Survivor because there was a shark attack and they didn't show it. So they were like, oh, like, we actually show the shark attacks on the show. Sure, I giggled because I got it. But that was also 4 months after the Survivor, if even that. So I think those two could have been replaced for sure.
So you would take out the PBS and NFL and put in camera
no,
roll.
Let's keep the NFL. I would put in camera roll instead of Backstab Island, and then I would take out the PBS and add the incident.
I think that any of these changes, I think, improves the episode. But TJ, since you saw the reaction of the room, you didn't have to go to YouTube and just experience it like the rest of us. Can you weigh in a little bit? Because I just would love to hear your perspective about, did any of these cut sketches like really not do well that you see it on YouTube and you go, I get it why they cut that?
Yeah, to be honest, I think Walk Club, it makes sense. Like, because Walk Club was the because they did the gate agents first, and then oh god, what was the first pre-tape of the night? What you have it here, toy commercial. Yeah, that played really well. Then the third Walk Club was the sketch after toy commercial. I think it was the sketch after toy commercial. And it was just kind of okay. Like it was fine. Like it's a funny start because I don't know, it makes me think of like Goku's training weights and whatnot. Like, so I was like, all right, I see what they're kind of going for. It was like a little bit fun, but like that one, as I was watching it, I was like telling my mom, I was like, oh, I don't like where it was just kind of more muted, the reaction to that one. So I was very okay. The one I was surprised because of the reaction in the room, I was shocked that like Survivor stayed on, because that was like not like a huge hit in the room. And it was also like one of the most easy to kind of like create. Like it wasn't like the Timothy Chalamet Bungie sketch where there's a production, or like when they hung Molly oh gosh, when they like Molly like from the rafters, and it's like, all right, they put a bunch of cost into this, we got to do it, or that slime sketch. So like we have all this stuff made up, we just got to go ahead and like do it.
That's
like,
a great point.
They literally, the cast, there wasn't even a set. The cast members were literally on a green screen on the main stage, standing like a few feet apart, like at their marks. You can see Teyana, Jane, and Chloe lined up, and then they were switching out on the other side of the stage. You can see Cam, Mikey, and like I think another cast member, and they were just switching places in front of like certain cameras. It was not like nearly as like building a set for like the other things. So I was so surprised that it like, and by the way, I'm not hating on Survivor. I'm more just reaction wise. I was really shocked that it stayed on. Similar, but a little different to Rebecca. I would take out NFL, but to be my bias is showing there because I don't care about football. The Quest thing was like a little funny, but it wasn't as strong as I think it could have been. Like it was like, it felt like a third of a joke in the sketch, because like the other things weren't working. The other things in the sketch weren't really working as strongly, but maybe that was just like an audience thing. But I would take out NFL. I would have taken out NFL. I would have taken out Backstab Island. Possibly see like PBS Epcot for time, but like I would have moved up Martin's pre-tape to second. You can't have one bad after another be the second pre-tape. It has to be the first. Martin's pre-tape is the second. I think you do the incident at the end of the night. I think you do Mom's camera roll. You know what's really tough about that? Mom's camera roll is like it's a song, and I think you want a song to usually play in the top half of the show. I feel like more often we usually see like songs like at that point, but I think it was just a really strong song. It feels weird not having it in the episode. But so like if you had to take out PBS to like make that song happen, I think you do it. Like give it 4 pre-tapes in one night. I know it's crazy, but just go for it. But yeah.
Well, Backstab Island clocked in. I have the rundown here and the run times 2:56. So that could have been a case of we can fit one quick one in there. I wouldn't. Maybe you or Ellis or somebody at the show would know if that was cut down. It could have been maybe a 4 minute.
It wasn't super long, but it was cut down probably like
3 minutes.
Couple minutes. Yeah.
So that could make sense to me, but yeah, definitely better choices on the board. And yeah, toy commercial, Martin's film, and Mom's camera roll, like 3 pre-tapes is it unheard of. We have episodes that we have, 1 pre-tape. We have episodes we have multiple. I mean, Glenn Powell had a MacGruber series in it. That's no problem with me, especially if they're not too long. But I think you got to keep Grandpa at the wedding to show Teyana's strengths. Gate Agents is a really safe sketch that shows her working with the cast well. It's relatable with the storm, and everyone's been at an airport and had a delay. I have no problem with that. You got to get the toy commercial in there to promote the movie, and you can't do that sketch with literally anybody else unless they were in that movie.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. NFL on ESPN is very bubble. It's like it is topical, but you can do that sketch any NFL season, any week, and it's fine. Confidence class we haven't talked about because it was talked about in the roundtable very well. Great Ashley piece there. So I think we kind of nailed it a little bit. You got to axe beyond the headlines, the PBS sketch, Backstab Island at least, and get in the incident, because it was just like good sketch comedy, and Teyana was actually wonderful in that one. TJ.
Yeah, and I also want to say that, like, while I did also know I would cut NFL on ESPN, I think you then do move up confidence class to make it the third sketch, because I think it's strong, but I don't think it's strong enough that you need it to come back into a commercial break. Like, I think it's just a really good sketch. And then I think you take Grandpa. I think it's kind of criminal that Grandpa is after Weekend Update. So I think you have basically, for the listeners, you have cold open, monologue, Gate Agents, toy commercial. Then you do confidence class, the Ashley Padilla one. Go to commercial, come back, you do Grandpa. That's the first thing that gets people like coming in. They see Teyana Taylor in a wig, very silly. By the way, that was probably my mom's favorite sketch of the night, but it plays because like it is the most for the casual general audience. Like, my mom is like not us, this like younger SNL audience that knows Veronica. Like, my mom is not going to care who like Veronica Slowakowska is. She knew Keenan and she had heard of Teyana Taylor. And like, that has nothing to even do with like being Black people. It was more like me realizing this show needs to play to other people. And that Grandpa sketch is what played for her. Silly woman dancing in like a goofy wig. By the way, that sketch played crazy in the room. Like, like the Grandpa sketch was like so funny. But oh yeah, so like so you play Grandpa when you come back for commercial, then you do Martin Hurley, because I think it's such a strong pre-tape. Go to commercial, get through Geese, Weekend Update, and then do whatever you want to in the back half. But I think that first 5 sets up really strong.
I think you kind of nailed it right there. It's really about the energy. I think having Grandpa before Update, we don't usually get this granular about run times, but I think that there was a good show in there that we didn't see, and I want to give it its credit because we were able to see these pieces on YouTube, which we don't normally get to see that many of them. So maybe a little bit of a mea culpa from SNL to do that and show like, hey, there actually were good pieces. But that brings me, I mean, this has been the longest 5-question of the season of By the Numbers, but I think it's super fascinating for this week is when this happens, are we glad they get on YouTube, or does it almost kind of foment some resentment for this better show that we didn't see, Rebecca? It's a tough question because we don't know what we haven't seen for other weeks, but they did decide to cut those and keep these. So just final thought.
I love when they show it, because it's just I always love, even for other TV shows, like this was cut or this is bloopers behind the scene. I don't usually look at them and be like yearning for them to be in the episode, because they come out after the fact, and I'm really always glad that they show them. So I love it. I love to see what could have been. Maybe this episode is one of the few times where I'm like, okay, there were 3 cut for time, and I really think all 3 could have been in the episode, really. And we already have the ones, we were just picking out what we've replaced. I don't think that always necessarily is the case, but I love when they show it, and I want them to keep showing this.
Because there was a big conversation when they advertised Papyrus 2 on YouTube after the show with Ryan Gosling. Is this the future of SNL? Are we going to have more pre-taped in the camera?
And Papyrus is one of my all-time favorite sketches. So.
And they haven't done it again, and now they have 3 online. So we're going to move on to question 2. We're up against it. We've already covered some of these topics, so we're going to roll right through them. Number 2, Jeremy Culhane, of course, checked off a big box this weekend with a successful Update appearance. Would he get your vote for Rookie of the Year, TJ? And if not, who?
Probably. Yeah, I gotta be honest. Would I be able to respond to the previous question?
Sure.
You could say
if
no.
You have to.
No,
if you
let's
have
go.
to.
We can do it.
Okay, just from like being in the room, I think we're forgetting the whole thing about like cut for time versus what like we hear the cast talk about the cut it dress. Like Andy Samberg will
Yes.
say, cut it dress. We never saw the light of day. We have to hear the audio in like their podcast because we'll never see it. Cut for Time, plus the fact that like what I learned is that like you at the dress rehearsals, you are deciding what will make it to air. How much you bust a gut, love it in the room, that is what will choose it to like. So I don't think we should look at it as though like SNL is looking at like flops or whatnot. And that, I don't think that's the way we're really judging it. But we need to remember these three got uploaded, which meant they felt so good about them, or they thought the audience liked them so much that even the rehearsal version of it was so strong that they were like, we got to put this out there because people will like this. So like I don't think you can contest it as any type of negative, because it is to say that like this was cover time because we were so overstuffed with good that like, hey, we might have made a wrong call here or there in the sketch, but like here's more to show you that like these were great. Like it's hard to not view it in 100% positive light because it has been affirmed by an audience rather than just SNL feeling okay about it. So sorry, I just wanted to like add that 2 cents. And
No,
then
no
yes,
problem at
Jeremy,
all.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Okay. So Jeremy for Rookie of the Year. And I think that, no, that's a very solid point that sometimes a dress run can get interrupted by a technical correction, or there is a mistake that they go, okay, we'll fix that later in the live show. Maybe that doesn't make the live show, and so he doesn't see the light of day. So thanks for bringing that up. Distinction between cut at dress versus cut for time. They have the set ready. Sometimes even maybe the sketch performers are ready, and they go, we just don't have time for it. We're going to run a commercial, and we're going to go to good nights. Rebecca, over to you. Who is your Rookie of the Year, and is it Jeremy Culhane?
I want to say Veronica, but in a personal note, I had the highest of expectations for her coming into this season. Been following her for a while. I think she's amazing. And with the very obvious lack of a lot of women in the cast and a lot of musical talent in the cast, I think that's something that we see a lot on SNL is a lot of musical talent, and we don't necessarily have that. And I don't think she's lived up to the unreasonable expectations I had for her in my head. I thought she was going to Ashley Padilla it and be the breakout star. And like, I don't think we've quite seen that, but I will still stand by that she has been the rookie so far of the year for me. Jeremy's having his moment now, and I honestly think Tommy was having a really good moment beforehand. But I'm still going to say Veronica. I just don't think she's living up to the potential that I think she could be having. Maybe it'll be more of a next season thing like we're seeing with Ashley this season. So that's what I can only hope. But not to say she's not doing a great job. I think she's doing an amazing job. I just have so many ideas in my head that I could see her on the show.
And Veronica is on pace for an hour and 5 minutes of screen time, which is great for a rookie. So maybe it's, of course, that lack of female cast members after last season and the departures, but that's incredibly solid and would be way better than Ashley Padilla's first season stat wise. And now look at her. So there's so much room for Veronica to grow, especially if we don't see Chloe come back, then a lot of roles can go to Veronica very easily. And I love that you brought up the musical aspect because she has a ton of talent that we've, have got to see a couple times in musical segments that have either aired or been cut. Question number 3. We talked about this a little bit, so we'll breeze through this one too. Martin Herlihy short films. We've seen 2 of them on the actual show. There's another one out there. It was Sabrina Carpenter's episode, also 10-1, where it was the the Frankensteins in the theater. Great Cam Patterson appearance. I really did enjoy that one. And then of course this Blowing It one with him trying to break up with his girlfriend played by Sarah Sherman. Do you think that now that we've seen Ben Marshall join the cast and Martin Hurley stick around, of course, John Higgins has moved on, PDD is no longer a presence week to week. How do you feel with that data, TJ? Would you have put Martin in the cast as well with Ben or instead of, or do you like where he is right now?
I like where he is because there's nothing he could do to, not that there's anything Ben could do to disappoint me, but I'm getting kind of like, I think it's perfect. I'm getting someone who's edited. I'm getting someone who is succinct. I'm getting someone who has so far 100 batting average, like kind of like early PDD where it was like everyone was like pretty much out of the park. I don't want to ruin a perfect game. I know you're not supposed to say that, but like, so it's almost like I don't want it because I don't want to give him the chance to fail. because he's doing nothing but succeeding. And so, like, if this is the niche he wants to fill, sure. But if he wants to do more and the show wants to let him, and he's capable, that's fine. But let's remember this: we have only seen Martin, with the exception of, I think, that one sketch where he was like a background actor for like a second. We've only seen him in an edited format. We do not know what he is like as a live sketch performer. We don't know what he would be like, if he would be nervous. So before we want something that we don't know what it is, I think I'm going to be happy with what I have. I felt like a dad in that moment.
I'm not mad.
Listen as an audience.
Yeah, we've seen him a couple times. I think he was in that Zoe Kravitz Maid of Honor speech. And
yes, that's what I'm thinking of. He's like at a wedding or something.
Yeah, and then was in that, I think it was with the Iowa Debris, the couples on the street sketch. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
and he also, shout out to the playing the dog's hands in the Simu Liu sketch. So they're just going into my Martin Hurley vault right there. But I love his he brings something that I don't think, maybe Ben is more traditional, so it makes more sense. But I do love Martin's voice in the writer's room and occasionally on a short film of his own. So Rebecca, would you have put Martin over Ben or both of them, or promoted all of PDD? You can say whatever you want.
I don't know what's going on with my camera, first of all, but also, okay, I said touch on this a little bit earlier in the episode that it's very exciting whenever he's there, and it's not all the time. And that is when I think Please Don't Destroy was most successful, is when they would come out of nowhere in an episode, and then like we would laugh and it was unexpected. And I think he's really good. And to TJ's point of like a perfect game, like I know if you take 2 episodes worth of stats and you compare them, then you're going to have a really either high score or really low score, as we saw with the pre-Bowen and a post-Bowen, that he's doing a really good job. All we need is one flop, and then that's going to dramatically decrease. So that's a third of his stats is going to go down. So I like that they're very intentional when they put him in. We know that they've cut him before because we've seen it come out online, and I'm perfectly okay. The same way that PDD, after a little bit of them being a tiny bit redundant, when they started taking to YouTube for their sketches instead of putting them all in the episode, they were significantly more successful in my eyes. So I think keep him exactly where he is now. And it's interesting, I think, not to pit white men against each other, but I think we didn't need, I don't think we needed Ben if we have Tommy in the cast. I think they give exactly the same thing as one another. They both have that musical aspect. They both are just like tall and attractive. So like that's, I think, to both of them as a disservice. Because if you look at what we think about like Ben's best sketch of with being the doula, at least that's what I would say his best sketch of the season has been, is being that doula. Tommy so could have easily been in that role and it would have hit the same. So I think that's interesting to have such a female like lacking cast, and then just to add more white men to this cast for not necessarily what I think a good reason. So that's why I think they didn't need to have Ben if they were going to have Tommy, and vice versa. I think they both would have been stronger without the other.
Thinking back to that big cast that had Beck and Kyle in it, with also Brooks Wheelan and John Milheiser and Mike O'Brien, like talk about pitting white men against each other. I think that's maybe one of the, maybe it's easier for the white men to get in the cast, but to actually stand out, that's actually, a lot of those get left by the wayside. We forget about those guys because it's like, okay, this is just another white guy sketch. I don't really care. Unless you're like Bill Hader, then like, get out of here. So I completely see that point. I think Tommy Brennan coming in the season, we had maybe low expectations for. Ben, we had higher because we actually knew who he was. And all the free PDD guys, and of course now Martin in the writer's room, Ben in the cast, are still writing behind the scenes. So we don't get to see the full breadth of their output. But I love where Martin is right now because you don't have the pressure of producing your own piece every week. But when you have one in the can and it's good, it makes air. So I'd like to see that. On to question 4. This is going to be maybe a one-word question right now. This week is the final show before the Olympic break on NBC. Super Bowl on NBC coming up. Patriots are in it. Who needs the best show in this cast right now? Opinion before we see the power rankings. Who in the cast really needs a good show the most? TJ.
I mean, it's probably Cam, because I've been to 2 dress shows now where I've seen. Oh God, I forgot to say, by the way, there was also a Cam piece that was cut because he was playing like a magician, not super strong. Like when I saw it, I was like, I see why this guy cut. This doesn't really need to be here. There's also one of the Glenn Powell episode that was a better piece, but he's not the strongest in it. But like, I think Cam needs stuff that doesn't get cut. But to be fair, I think some of his cuts, at least a couple I've seen, have been fair cuts. So I think he's still kind of growing into it. Although I will also say there are some other cast members that like have stuff get on that, to be honest, like, I don't know, maybe if like Cam wasn't who he was, maybe he would be able to get on a lot easier. But like, I don't know. I think obviously, and I'm not even trying to do it because like he's like a young black man. Cam is so interesting to me because one of how he's acting outside the show, where he's kind of talking about documentary experience, he's doing a ton of stand-up still. He's also the most like, he's like from the South, like he's very clearly the most like not dynamic, but he's the most dynamic cast member in terms of, you have a Veronica, but Veronica's like a Heidi. She's kind of trained to like do this a little bit. Yeah, she has some presence, but like whatever, like she's good. Cam is interesting because like you're taking a dude off the street. Like, and I think that's where you want to see the success, because I don't want to see another like well-manicured, writerly person who like went to comedy, did all the right things, thrive in the show. I want to see somebody who like SNL can make great rather than someone who was like trained to do SNL, someone like a Punky. And I feel like Punky did have some successes and we would have liked her to stay on. And I think it would have been good if she stayed on. But like you take somebody like her, like a Melissa, like it's just like, I feel like time and time again, SNL has not been able to curate people. Like they're doing it with some people, like Sarah is working well inside it. But I would love to see it work with Cam, because just like when Sarah came in and she was so different, Cam is such a unique culture, personality, style, I think drastically more than Sarah does, that like I want to see him succeed, because I would love to see what is that personality, that perspective, that Southern, like in his accent, what does that look like inside of the SNL machine, back like resources, like what does that like look like? And I don't know if he's there yet, but I really want to see like if and how he could win, and if he can maybe have a better journey than Punky did, and with all the love that we have for Punky as well, you know.
That was a good one-word answer.
Oh, was it a one-word question?
The answer.
Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad.
I love it. That was actually. I
stand by what I said, but my bad.
That was last week.
I didn't hear one word. That's my fault. I wasn't fully listening.
Oh, you're selective hearing, TJ. It's going off again.
I apologize. I do apologize.
Rebecca, over to you.
I liked it. By the way, TJ, I did like what you had to say. All of that. I think that was an interesting perspective. I'm going to say Tommy needs a good episode. And I mean, just realistically, I think we could all agree that Jane needs a good episode if she wants to remain on the cast.
She does.
Yeah. And Cam had back-to-back weekend updates ending the year and beginning the new year. And screen time has been up a little bit. So we did a question about that last week. Check it out. We talked really about how Cam could succeed, especially after his comments about SNL on Kill Tony recently, and about how he's really been kind of on his own in the show. And is that good? Is that bad? How does he really succeed on the show?
Bad. It's always bad. We know that because you don't have people that want to write with you. Brian Tucker, Celeste GM, the PDD boys. These are people that have like teamed up with a cast member, found somebody to work with, or people like Ashley Badie and Beck Bennett have the writers loving to write for them.
But whose fault is that? It's his fault.
I'm not saying it's a fault.
No, it's Cam's fault.
Fair, I don't know if it's fully to say that it's Cam's fault. And I'm not saying it's a fault. I'm saying it's a bad situation.
He came in with a lot of controversy surrounding him, and I don't blame a lot of people for not.
I'm not putting out blame. I'm saying that like I think it's a bad situation because he's still a cast member at the show.
Question number 5. This week is the 1000th episode. Will they acknowledge it? How would you like them to acknowledge it? And what is your prediction, Rebecca? It's Alexander Skarsgård and Cardi B. She's back for the second time. It's his first time hosting the show. He's a Swedish actor. He's not an SNL alum. You know, this is not really acknowledged in that capacity. You got a lot of sirens going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of sirens.
Yeah. Sorry. I just live in the big city. I think honestly, they're not really going to address it. I know like having Amy Poehler come this season, that was like kind of addressing, this is a big anniversary for us. I thought they kind of took that moment there. I don't really know if maybe he'll make a joke. Like, if I were them, I would have him start being like, well, we know tonight's the 1,000th episode. So naturally, they had to bring me to come host this, like, as important as that is. And I feel like they'll do one throwaway like that and not really, unless they start. I don't really know who on SNL in the past where that would be like so exciting for them to come back has any tie to Alexander. So, like, I don't necessarily know if they're going to have someone. I foresee some really good Cardi B, Nicki Minaj drama stuff. I think she'll be in a sketch. I think she's very outspoken and about Nicki Minaj being outspoken. So but I don't really think they're going to really be like, this is the 1,000th episode, besides just like a quick throwaway in the monologue.
I mean, they did do it before, of course. They brought in Julia Stiles for the 500th. Everyone saw that coming back then. 250th was Matthew Modine. And the 100th episode was hosted by no one. So.
Stars.
And at this rate, they're going to bring Sabrina Carpenter on just for a random sketch. So
yeah.
And 750 was hosted by Kerry Washington.
So. Okay.
All right.
Sure. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, TJ, is there any way, if you were in the room as an SNL super fan, how would you like them to acknowledge it, or would you just say don't acknowledge it, just put on a good show? That's always the easy answer. But maybe you have a good pitch of how they could do it subtly or quickly but effectively.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm a little worn out from celebrations, and I don't mean that literally, but not just the 50th anniversary. You guys remember that Martin Short show we just had like a year ago, where it was like kind of that like 5-timers, and it was just so many of them. I wonder if like SNL themselves is like, we just won an Emmy for this anniversary. I don't know what they could do besides a nod. I do wish that maybe the booking was some type of return host. I think that's the one thing I would have liked to see. And I don't have anything against Alexander Skarsgård. I would like them to host another episode. But I would maybe just want it to been like Wig or somebody. Like, I would just like maybe like a cast member hosting. I think that's the one thing I want, and then I would want cameos. But I almost don't want cameos in this episode because I just want more Cardi B songs. No, but I don't really want anything, because I feel like I got it in the 50th, I got it in the 40th, and I got it when Martin Short hosted. Like, they've been doing a great job at giving us big things. Okay, I will say this. Give me a digital short. But that's just like that's just dreams. Like, come on. Like, when who would be upset at wanting a digital short? Like, I know it'll never happen, but like, sure. If I had my dreams come true, just give me another digital short and give them to please release Here I Go on Spotify. Like, dear God. But
that's a good take. Maybe having an outside force like Lonely Island, Sandberg already ready. Doesn't matter who's hosting, who's promoting, and just put that in anywhere in the show. People go nuts. The super fans will love it. The casuals will not care, and we can have a normal show. But I agree with you that there's been a lot of celebrations for good reason, but it is 1,000 episodes. Like, that's a big deal. So I know we had
50 years. That
50 years in October, the birthday celebrated by Amy Poehler, briefly mentioned in the monologue. Like Rebecca said, they might do that with Skarsgård in this monologue. At least just say it on air. That concludes 5 questions. Let's look at the power rankings after 11 episodes. Here we go. Here I go. Featuring Charlie XCX. Ashley Padilla is number 1.
Sorry.
She's still on top. She raised her power ranking 1.6. She had a great episode. Confidence Seminar, 6 appearances. She's at a 101.6 after having a perfect 100.0 last week. Increased it this week. James Austin Johnson is now in the 2 slot, 93.4. Knocked Chloe down to 3. She's at 88.9. Sarah Sherman, with an amazing start through 8 weeks, has now had 2 really down episodes in the new year, is now still at number 4, but at 82.7 when she was really threatening with Chloe to kind of take over the Ashley spot. Now Sarah's at number 4, 82.7. Colin Jost, who's 90 seconds behind Ashley in screen time. So, of course, power ranking really weights a lot more than screen time, but Colin Jost's screen time is up there with Ashley Padilla, only 9 seconds away. He's at 79.1. Andrew Dismuke still at number 6, 77.1. Kenan Thompson went up to number 7, past Mikey Day, 73.6 with his second best episode of the year. Mikey Day is in 8th, 72.8. He's really had a strong 2026 and a strong Christmas episode in the Ariana Share one. Marcelo Hernandez, who had a pretty good cold streak going in mid-season, and now last 4 episodes, he's really come on strong. Like I mentioned, he's been on Update more than anyone in the cast outside Jostin Shea. 66.4 for Marcelo. Veronica, the rookie, in the top 10. 53.1. She stays there. Jeremy Culhane now is past Ben Marshall after he put up a 4.2 this week. That means Jeremy's in a 52.5 average. Ben down to a 48.3 average. Michael Che, who has now gone 50 episodes without appearing in the show outside of Weekend Update. The last time was the Pete Davidson premiere when he was in a PDD pre-tape, the Kings of Comedy with the little PDD comics. Che was in that one. He's at a 47.7. Tommy Brennan on the worst cold streak of the year so far. He's down to 45.1. Not terrible for a featured player, but disappointing after a strong middle of the fall there. Jane Wickline, 44.0. And Cam Patterson, 34.8. If Bowen Yang was still in the cast, he'd be at 81.5. So he'd be pretty high up there. But, you know, if I logged a bunch of zeros for the rest of the year, he'd still maybe finish 15th, 16th place. He could finish ahead of Jane and Cam if they stayed there. He'd be in the high 30s if I logged 11 straight zeros for Bowen Yang. So it just shows the power of Bowen. Rebecca, over to you. It's been a while seeing the power rankings, and it's really unique this year. Like I don't think anyone could have predicted the Patriots in the Super Bowl or Ashley Padilla leading the power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talk about Ashley ad nauseum on this podcast, and she's just doing an incredible job, and I'm excited to keep seeing her ride that wave. Also, the biggest shock to me going into the season here, it would be Marcelo kind of landing around the 9th. I feel like he's had a lot of hype. He's made his way into pop culture. Like, I know Domingo has been really overdone and overplayed, but like, I think he was really making a name for himself, and I thought we would be seeing a lot more of him this season than we really are. But also at the same time is like, does Lauren owe him money or something? Because how do they keep plugging this stand-up special? Like the fact that there was like so many plugs to a stand-up special, like that's crazy to me. But the other one I want to note is, I know you touched on this before, Mike, saying Chloe's having her best season yet. And I used to ride so hard for Chloe. Like I thought she was what could have been a great of this time. Not to say we won't look back and really remember her. I think we will. But this season just does not feel like her season at all. But the numbers are showing it is. And I just think that that's obviously a testament to the lack of women on the cast, and that she does play more of a background role a lot of the time. She hasn't done anything like super intensely memorable for me the way that she did in her her second season. I think is like her highlight season for me. So it's so interesting to see her at 3, because I wouldn't have guessed that to be just like if you were asking me. And then Marcelo and her are the biggest shocks, and then looking from Veronica down makes sense. Veronica's number 1. I honestly thought Tommy would at least be above Che, but besides that, the rest are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's a good point about Marcelo, and I think he will really rise in the rest of the season. I was, like you, Rebecca, surprised that he didn't kind of just come out right out of the gate in the first 6-7 episodes being that new star of the show. Maybe them knowing Bowen would leave. Maybe they didn't know he would leave, but Marcelo is being definitely
I knew
up.
Bowen would leave. I famously said that on the preseason here.
Oh, yeah? How'd you know?
I just had a feeling. It was in the cast draft, and I was like, I kind of wanted him towards the end. And then I was just like, guys, what if he leaves at the Christmas episode? And I got so many DMs when they announced it, being like, so how did you know? I was like, I didn't, but it makes sense. It made sense. They wanted him for Wicked, and then he was able to go.
Yeah, mid-season departure. You get all the praise, all the flowers. So love that for Bowen. TJ, what about you? Back on By the Numbers, seeing this power ranking that's, I think, been the most exciting stat year since we've been podcasting.
No, I would agree. So I definitely agree with what Rebecca was saying, especially about Chloe, who, with the exception of Chloe's, Chloe had a couple, Rebecca, you might remember these. Chloe had a couple of pre-tapes, I think in her 3rd or 4th year. There was the understudy. There was the one where she played that white lady who scammed a bunch of people. And there might have been a 3rd one where she was basically going around and bothering the cast.
Anna Delvey, by the way.
Yes, yeah. I'm thinking of Elizabeth Holmes. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, if I had a nickel.
But like she did, I don't know if there was a third one, but it was basically Chloe goes around, bothers the cast doing impressions. Like she's basically like kind of like bothering
That was
them.
in the Benedict Cumberbatch episode, I believe, in the spring a few years ago.
Yeah, in the understudy, one of my favorite sketches of her. But like, I feel like, and by the way, I just watched Summer of '99. I follow Chloe. Like, I really enjoy her very much, and I feel like I understand her a little bit more off the show than I do in media. Like, even in that Summer of '69 movie, and in like the show, I was very surprised by this because I know she fills the Heidi vacuum. But like outside of those pre-tapes that I really enjoyed of her, like I think those for me are my favorite sketches of hers. The understudy by a drastic amount. I love that sketch. I don't know who Chloe Fineman's voice is, like I know who Sarah's and Ashley's and Andrew's is. Even James, I feel like I see his voice a little bit more than I know who Chloe is.
I thought you said Jane's voice, and I was
no,
like,
James.
huh.
No, but it makes me beg the question: is it that Chloe is her skill that she's so good at impressions that she really can just chameleon herself? But is she too good at that? I even saw her in that All In show like last year. Like I'm a fan. I met her. Like I like Chloe, but like on the show, like I want to compare it to like a Vanessa Bayer, but no, even Vanessa Bayer had like a distinct like voice, and I don't really know what that is. So
Great poll,
leading.
TJ, by the way. Season 47, I just sorted all of Chloe's pre-tapes of her career, and I'm looking at least top 3 right now. Number 1 was the Spring Break with Mikey Madison when she played like the straight role with Marcello, craziness in the background. But Inventing Chloe was the Oscar Isaac episode, late season 47. She had 245 in that sketch.
It
Understudy
was Anna Delvey.
Yep. And Benedict Cumberbatch, as I mentioned, the understudy sketch, 227. Drew Barrymore's show was in the season 46 premiere that she played multiple impressions. And then she had her really coming out as an impressionist in the SNL at Home with the Masterclass Quarantine, when she did a couple of impressions there. Hallmark Horror with Nate Bargatze, and another Mikey Madison one, Big Dumb Line, Airbnb commercial in the SNL at Home as well. So those are the big 2-minute plus pre-tapes she's had.
Was that also the Uli show? And like when she had those kind of string of Britney Cold opens, was that like, I'm assuming that was the same season?
The Airbnb commercial, I believe, was in the SNL at Home, when it had no host.
So like, and but I don't want to spend my time just focus on Chloe, but I just think what Rebecca said was so interesting. I will say this also, like not seeing Marcello in this top 6, not having Bowen, Ego, or Keenan in this top 6 is so clear. Like, I think it's so clear as to why I'm enjoying the show, but I'm not occasionally finding like a favorite thing in the show sometimes that I think just like different cultures brings. We have a lot like in Ashley, James, Chloe, Sarah, Colin, and Andrew. We have a lot of like goofy white people that I truly love, like some of my favorite white people. But I'm seeing the same thing, like weird situation, weird sketch. Where's like another perspective? And I don't need to see it all the time. I just need to see it every now and then. So seeing Keenan, Cam, Marcel, like seeing Marcelo so far down, like I just want to see like I want to have like just different types of perspectives and sketches, so that like I don't know, like that are still like funny. Like all that matters is that it's funny. But I'm just seeing a lot of like goofy, weird, little gay, but I'm here for it because the Heated Wizardry thing was like pretty solid. But I feel like I'm starting to see a lot of homogeny in themes this season, and I'm a little bit disappointed in it because I think it's the show not having a voice in the way that I think every single one of these cast members, including the white ones, has. But I think it's too much of similar voices.
Yeah, I've been talking about in this podcast all season just the lack of women of color. And then we got a woman of color to host the show, and it disappointed. So it's like, okay, we couldn't have made that episode stronger writing from that perspective. I would like to see that. And seeing like a Marcello, who, of course, out the gate, as I mentioned, had a great episode. Bad Bunny hosted, and he had great chemistry with Bad Bunny the first time. That episode was a little disappointment. So maybe it's the writer's room, maybe it's the themes of the week, but we definitely can improve on that. And I think Marcello will definitely rise up there. Keenan, of course, had a great week, as I mentioned. and so did Mikey Day. So the vets really stepped up with a rookie first-time host this week. TJ, so great to have you back on. When I heard you were coming on tonight, I was like, thank God TJ is on to talk about this show, because I don't want to be a downer all night. So I'm so happy to have you back, man. Anything you'd like to say to listeners?
Hey, try to take your mom to SNL so you can be as good of a child as I am. I hope
Pro
you know
tip.
that. Yeah, I like I've ascended to levels of being so much child that I didn't know that I was capable of by giving my mom what for many people is a once in a lifetime experience. So shout out to me for being an awesome son. But no, also I just want to like we had a really great time at like SNL, and I'm really glad that I was able to share this with my family. And I think this show is wonderful that you can share with so many people, that we can get into like the data of it. So on a positive end, man, I'm just glad we have this. I'm just glad to be here. So hope you guys have a great night.
Thanks so much. We'll see you again soon. Rebecca, it's always great to have you back, and a dueling haiku. Let's do it again sometime. Anything
I love my seasonally appearance on the By the Numbers show. Always have a good time with you, Mike and TJ. We always have good banter on the podcast. So nothing to plug, just here, and come watch any and listen to any episode I'm on BSNN.
Absolutely. As always, we are brought to you by LateNight.com. As I mentioned, episode 1000 of your favorite show is on this Saturday, 11:30 Eastern Time on NBC. We will have a hot take show immediately following. I will have John Schneider himself on By the Numbers next week before we go on to break. Rebecca is shocked. And we'll have the roundtable on Monday night. So as always, for the Saturday Night Network, I am Mike Murray. Rebecca North, TJ Compliment is in the chat and in the flesh. What else can I say? So happy to have you guys. Let's wrap up the show. Thank you so much.